In the world of sound cards, some names stand out, not just for their performance, but for their legacy. The C-Media CMI8788 is one of those names. Launched back in the late 2000s, it quickly became a go-to for audiophiles and gamers alike, powering cards from Asus, HT Omega, Club 3D and more. But time hasn't been entirely kind. Support has dwindled, modern operating systems have moved on, and finding drivers is almost like hunting for fossils. Yet, when I came across the HT Omega Eclaro, one of the flagship CMI8788 based sound cards, I knew I had found one of those pieces of tech history that may still have had some life left in it. And so I bought it for a pricey €45. Because this wasn't just because of nostalgia, it was about seeing if quality audio engineering could stand the test of time. And let me tell you, the journey was anything but smooth. To understand why I even bothered with this project, it's important to grasp why the CMI8788 was such a big deal. Back when it was launched, Creative was pretty much dominating the consumer sound card market with its X5 series. But C-Media, with the 8788, brought something different to the table. Incredible audio clarity, support for 192 kHz audio playback, Dolby Digital Live and true 7.1 surround capabilities, all without the bloat of proprietary software. It was open, customizable and beloved by enthusiasts who wanted raw, unfiltered sound. Around the time of the 8788 launch, Creative's X5 series had a major Achilles heel: downsampling. When playing back anything above 48 kHz, the X5 sound cards would downsample the audio to 48 kHz unless you specifically used ASIO drivers or bit-matched playback. Now, this resampling introduced artifacts and degraded the audio quality. So even though the X5 advertised 96 kHz, it wasn't genuinely 96 kHz in most playback scenarios. In contrast, the CMI8788 handled 192 kHz natively, with full fidelity and no forced resampling. 4 times as much as what Creative could offer. So for audiophiles and audio purists, this was a game changer. But if the 8788 was so great, why did it fade away? The simple answer is market shift. C-Media stopped actively developing high-end consumer sound chips in favor of more mainstream solutions and audio codecs or motherboards. Meanwhile, USB DACs started taking off, offering plug-and-play simplicity that sound cards just couldn't match without driver hassle. On top of that, Windows started implementing a new driver model for sound cards, making it, at first, even harder to getting them working. It wasn't about the quality of the chip, it was about the timing and market priorities. The world moved on to its USB sound cards and onboard solutions, and the CMI8788 got left behind despite its capabilities. So time moves on, operating systems evolve, and suddenly what once worked flawlessly is left in the dust. Windows 11, for example, has next to no support for the CMI8788 based cards. I plugged in the HT Omega Eclaro I just bought, and even though it's detected, you're greeted with silence. You can see some audio meters move as if audio is being produced, but no sound. Even Linux, often the bastion of compatibility, turned it back. It was like the OS knew it existed, but couldn't figure out what to do with it. That led me down a rabbit hole of drivers. Stock drivers failed. The much recommended Unix owner drivers, they worked, but only with the other CMI8788 cards I own, but not the HT Omega. And this is where my testing ramped up. I wanted to know if any of the other cards showed any of the same issues. I wasn't about to give up. I built 2 dedicated test benches for this, one with a fresh install of Windows 11 and one with Ubuntu 25. In each case the Eclaro was defective. The Linux, the LSPCI reported it, but the card was unclaimed. Except for that one time where it did produce some audio, and that gave me at least some time to get a measurement in right mark. But before I get there, I had to see how it stacked up against the other CMI8788 siblings, so I tested these cards as well. The Asus Xonar DX, the Asus Xonar D2, the Asus Xonar Phoebus, the Asus Strix Soar, the Asus Xonar Essence ST, the Asus Xonar Essence STX2, and the Club 3D Theatron Agrippa. Now I ran them all through Rightmark Audio Analyzer, capturing data on frequency response, noise level, dynamic range, total harmonic distortions, and crosstalk. And here is what I found. Now for the results with the frequency response, most cards showed a fairly flat response, with the Xonar D2 performing best with just 0.11 and 0.02 deviation. The HT Omega Eclaro, however, showed a plus 86 and a minus 21 deviation, which is far from perfect. Then the noise level. Now this is one of the biggest surprises. The Asus Xonar D2 and the DGX, which clocked about minus 85 decibels. The HT Omega Eclaro was a disaster at minus 54.8 decibels. That's borderline unacceptable for a card of this supposed caliber. The dynamic range. Again, the Eclaro fell short, with the Xonar D2 and the DX again managing 85 decibels. The Eclaro scraped by with 45.5 decibels. Now for reference, that's in line with onboard audio from the early 2000s, not what you would expect from a dedicated sound card. As for the total harmonic distortion, or the THD, most of the 8788 cards hovered around 0.002 and 0.03%, which is respectable. And the Eclaro, well, a whopping 7.9%. That's not just a little distortions, that's just listening to music through a blown out speaker. And for the crosstalk, well, crosstalk measures how much the left and right channels bleed into each other, while the Eclaro once again floundered at minus 45 decibels. In summary, while most of these CMI 8788 cards still held their own surprisingly well, the HT Omega Eclaro was an outlier, and not in a good way. It's clear that its age hadn't been kind to it. Or perhaps it always was this underwhelming, just masked by the nostalgia of good marketing and clean aesthetics. Listening to these cards was great. The HT Omega was still lifeless, but all other cards were actually pretty good, even a lot better than I imagined. And I'm still in love with the Club 3D and most of the Asus cards. But I had a dislike for the Phoebus and the DX. They sounded sort of metallic, they lacked soul. And it's not that other cards have a soul, of course, but they sounded more alive. Overall, it wasn't like I'm going to plug any of these into my gaming rig, but if you still have one, use it. It's definitely better than anything that onboard has to offer. Working through this project confirmed something I've suspected for a while. Great hardware alone doesn't guarantee lasting value. The HT Omega Eclaro was impressive in its day, delivering clean, solid audio and flexibility. But the HT Omega Eclaro performance, when I got it sort of working, was disappointing. Especially compared with the other CMI 8788 cards like the Asus DX2 or the Club 3D Theatron Agrippa. On the other side, the biggest hurdle remains driver support. Without reliable drivers, none of these cards can fully shine on modern systems. With the unique Xonar drivers, I did finally get the card working, but it wasn't easy. Now, This doesn't mean I don't recommend unique sonar, because I do. Thanks to them, these cards can still be used on this day. If you have a CMI8788 card gathering dust, it might be worth trying to bring it back to life. Just go in with your eyes wide open, prepare for a bit of troubleshooting, and the audio will be a miracle. If you've enjoyed this, well, short journey, or have any questions about these sound cards or my testing progress, let me know in the comments. And for now, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. See you then, bye bye!